Hey, everybody, welcome to another live edition here on the Rock Pile. Thanks for tuning in every Wednesday night. If you're a returning listener, thanks for following me as always. We are live on YouTube tonight as well, and we're obviously live tonight on Facebook. I talk to small business owners, coaches, athletes, and more about their journey in the business world and throughout life. And as I always say on this show, the Rock Pile is where dreams become reality. I want to make sure I do thank Mike Johnson last week for coming on and talking about 233, the Simple Bar. Cheryl, his sister, Cheryl Seymour, wasn't able to join us, but Mike came on and did a fantastic job. Just ended with about 2,000 views last week. So I just want to thank him. Next week, I do have an open night. I might have a special guest next Wednesday. If not, I'll take a week off. And the following week, I'll have Eddie the Truck Gordon, an MMA fighter who's also a fellow teammate of mine from Fordham University, will join me. So a lot going on here in the next couple weeks. So without further ado, let me bring the owner of Garage Gym in Oneida, Mr. Bob Galinski. Let's get him on here now. I see Bob. How we doing, sir?
I'm good. How are you, Rocky?
I'm doing fantastic. This was a long time in the making. I appreciate you coming on.
Not a problem at all. Thanks for having me.
Not a problem at all. And, Bob, I seem like I've talked to in the last 3 months. I've learned so much about gyms, karate. I've learned so much about different small businesses out there. I'm thrilled to have you on. I'm interested to hear more about your story and how Garage Gym came to the making. So for the listeners out there, as I always say, it is an interactive show. So if you put comments, if you're listening to me on YouTube tonight, in the bottom right-hand corner, there's a subscribe button. Hit subscribe, and then make sure you subscribe to all. But if you put comments in Facebook or YouTube, I'll pull as many comments over tonight. If you have any questions for Bob or I, please feel to put those questions in the comment box. So, Bob, let's start right out of the gate. Welcome to the show tonight. And for our listeners and viewers out there, why don't you talk to us about how you got started?
Actually kind of going back to high school originally, and I was always into sports, and I was just never like a high-end athlete, and I basically got into football kind of late in high school and loved it, got into working out and just got a lot stronger. My athleticism started improving drastically, but kind of realized I knew I wasn't going to go anywhere with it. Really. So I kind of at that point, I wanted to become a coach and help other people get fitter, stronger. Basically, fast forward a little over 4 or 5 years later, I get out of college and decided, all right, time to get my certifications and start finding a job. And actually got my foot in the door at Turning Stone Casino, working at the front desk. And while I was working there, I was working on my certs and getting everything finished. And then once I got my certs, they hired me as a coach. So I actually started coaching there for about 1.5 years, but there wasn't really a lot of demand for private coaching at the casino. So I kind of tried to keep my eyes open, and somebody gave me insight that Planet Fitness in Oneida was trying to hire a trainer there. So I went in for an interview there, and the owner really liked the interview with me and liked my personality and what I had to say. And so he decided to hire me and told me, hey, you'll have obviously the free classes and such that you do, but on top of that, you can do private coaching on the side to make some extra cash and make it more profitable for you. And so that was really where things kind of actually started to take off for me, was I started getting a lot of clients there and a lot of experience. And my clientele grew real quick, and I was busy nonstop, working, 5 to 6 days a week, working probably 50 hours a week. I was exhausted. Had to start up in prices and trying to cut clientele down just so I could keep my stress to a minimum and try to help the clients that I had more efficiently than trying to help, way more than I could handle, I guess.
Now, Bob, you said you were a football guy. Did you play football in Oneida?
No, I actually grew up in Clinton.
Okay.
Yep.
What position?
I was mostly receiver, cornerback. I did a little bit of safety and some special teams.
All right, so you're like me. You had a little speed.
Yeah, a little bit. I was not the fastest receiver, that's for sure, but I worked at it, and I was I pretty much outworked everybody. That was my mentality. I wasn't the fastest or the strongest, but I was always gonna work my hardest.
Well, I always associate everything that I do, being a former athlete and played in college and growing up in the sports world with my dad and my sister in the coaching business. You can put a lot of those characteristics and a lot of those traits, from coaching in the business world and coaching and even being an athlete. That, for the most part, I always say I'll hire athletes and coaches and players any day of the week because you have that certain mentality that I think is hard to find in other people.
Agreed.
And it's a mentality that, you don't want to fail. That's not in our blood. That's not in our DNA. And there's always stuff that drives and motivates us. And, I had to do a little bit of research because I didn't know much about your gym and, this whole time. And I got to tell you, when I went on the webpage, the best thing about it, we are not a Globo gym.
Yeah.
Love the reference. Love it. But how'd you get the name Garage Gym?
So actually it came from the previous owner. So I actually didn't open it. Josh Lewis from Oriskany Falls, he actually was into CrossFit back in 2000, well, in the early 2000s, and he went into the 2008 CrossFit Games, and soon after that decided he wanted to become a coach and open up his own gym. And so he decided to actually start at a small little gym in Oriskany Falls outside of his house, and basically opened up, I think it was January 1st, 2011. And he built his, he started to build on his gym, and he had more and more people coming in, and he did basically the same thing as me. He got so busy, he didn't have enough time to do it himself. So he started hiring coaches, and he had heard some good news about me. So he reached out to me to kind of join the team. And when I met him, I told him one of the things that I always wanted was I wanted to own my own gym, and I wanted to coach and help people and so on and so forth. So, so he hired me and basically made me the head coach in the Oneida location when he opened up. And so after about 2.5 years coaching there, he basically offered me the gym and was like, "Hey, dude, you've been doing a great job, and I don't have any time to really keep going with it. I never find time to get down there." He goes, "And everybody loves you," and so on and so forth. And he goes, "And I know you wanted your own gym." So he offered it to me, and I decided to take the opportunity because it's something I'd wanted for so many years that I couldn't turn it down.
Yeah. And then here you go, you plop right dab in the middle of, COVID. And that's obviously had a huge impact on everybody, especially the guests I've had on this show. How much has it impacted you in the gym?
It's definitely impacted us, but we have had a great community, and a lot of people stuck with us through those hard times. We definitely did lose some clientele, and that definitely hurt us financially. But also my landlord, Pete Lombardi, he also helped me out a little bit through those times to cushion the blow a little bit. And since we were really using the facility for several months. So that definitely helped me out. And as well as, like I said, our clients, we got them onto remote programming, virtual. So we were meeting them via Zoom and still coaching them that way, holding them accountable, making sure they were going to continue and they weren't just going to fall off the wagon and get lazy and, lose all the progress they had made over the last several years. We kept classes going that way too. But we definitely, I think classes is one of those things where everybody likes the community and they want to be seeing those people day to day. So that's actually where we kind of saw probably the biggest hit was through classes. But now that we're able to open back up, we're starting to get the classes rocking again. So things are starting to move upward.
Now, Bob, when you say the remote, the virtual, classes, I know there's some places that have said that, the response was very positive with the remote and virtual classes that, even when this COVID thing, hopefully eventually when it goes away, you can have more people in there, the capacity gets bigger. Will that still be an option for you? Will you still continue with the remote classes?
For sure. I mean, we've always had remote programming as an option even before.
Okay.
We never did the virtual, but now that we've had it, we've actually had a few clients who prefer it. Maybe they already have a home gym. They live, 20, 30 minutes away, to the point where now they're like, "Hey, I actually have my own home gym and I can just have a coach meet me online and I can use all my own equipment and I don't have to go anywhere." it makes their day easier if they're taking out an hour worth of travel. And it lowers their stress and it gives them more time. So we've actually had a few clients who, I don't know if they'll ever come back. They're just like, cool, if I can have a coach online and do my own thing, but which is absolutely fine. It is a little harder to coach that way because you can't see, all the details of their movement and how they're doing things. And sometimes the angles or a client may have a tough time putting the camera angle on them right as well, but it does work for sure.
And when we talk about the COVID piece too, and I've talked a lot about the challenges, but what are some of the challenges? You mentioned Planet Fitness obviously is a much bigger scale gym. As far as overhead and capital and financials, it's a lot different than a small gym owner. What are some of the biggest challenges you have as a small owner?
I would say getting our name out there. So like when I worked for Planet Fitness, they have like over 3,500 members, or at least they did when I was there. I never advertised. People saw me in the gym. People talked to me. I had to do zero advertising. People just flocked to me. It was easy, piece of cake. Being that we're a small gym, we have right around 50 to 60 members, depending on the time of year. We're kind of hidden off of Lenox Ave in the back behind Lombardi Chiropractics in a white building, and a lot of people don't know we exist. So we do produce some social media posting, but what we've also found in the past is most of our clientele are actually come through word of mouth. So we have done some advertising, but we've typically not gotten a lot of feedback from it. It typically comes from word of mouth. One person, whether it's a class or private coaching, they end up coming in, they love it, and then they start telling family members and friends, and then basically they'll bring them in and we tell them, hey, yeah, try out a free class or come in for a fitness assessment and see what you think. And if you're interested, we can get you signed up and ready to go.
And we'll get into your classes here in a little bit, but another thing with the small gyms, and I think even with a lot of just small businesses in general, it doesn't have to be gyms. One of the things that has been a common theme on this show to the people that I've spoken to is the community has been fantastic in trying to support small businesses. But I think the other thing is that I wanted to ask you about, so when you do look at the Planet Fitnesses, the bigger gyms and the smaller gyms, and I'm just going to take any business, I always say that the smaller businesses are the ones that have the more family type environment. So if I want to make a decision on why to come to Bob's gym or go to Planet Fitness, if I want that family environment where I might get more attention from my instructors and so forth, that's what I'm coming for. Is that what a lot of your clients say?
Yeah, for sure. Especially with our classes, which is the huge community piece. They all basically try to show up to the same classes every week. So they're hanging out with the same people. They get to know them. They're competing with them in classes. They're also, a lot of times, even sometimes when I have to leave at night, some of them are hanging outside in the parking lot talking and making plans for the weekend or talking about the workout or other personal things. So no, they definitely build these great relationships, and they have their own little community, and they get excited, and then they don't want to miss a class because they don't want to not see people, or they don't want to not be able to give their feedback on the last couple workouts or whatever it is. So, I mean, definitely huge. With private coaching, they may not get quite the same community aspect as a class, but even a lot of our private clients might be coming in and out at roughly the same time, or at least pre-COVID anyway, to the point where same thing, they'd still build maybe not as tight of bonds as with the classes, but they're still building bonds with, I see this person every Thursday or every Wednesday or whatever it is. So yeah, our community is really awesome.
Now, Bob, how about, and I don't know if this is a challenge or not, but I know some of the bigger gyms might have a lot more programs that are written for the instructors. A smaller gym, I would imagine you guys probably write your own programs. You don't have a corporate coming down you, passing you guys thousands of different workouts. Is that a challenge for you guys too as a small gym?
I would say it can be a challenge just on some level, but not really. I think all of our coaches kind of get excited. So we do custom programming for all of our clients. And so when we do an assessment and we learn where clients are either weak, tight, where there's injuries, or they're just lacking in certain movements, we analyze that and we write our programming based on that. So, based on their priorities as well as what their goals are. So If their goal is to do a pull-up and they have no pulling strength, then we're going to be working on, or maybe they can't open their shoulders properly to do a pull-up. We're going to be working on mobility as well as upper back strength to help them accomplish that goal.
There's so many different parts. And again, I want to get into your classes here in a minute, but I'm just thinking about when I grew up, I was fortunate enough here in Rome to have a strength and conditioning coach with, professional football experience. It was fantastic. So at a young age, I'm learning the right techniques. I'm learning the right stretches. Nowadays you see some people where they just walk into a gym and they think, I can bench press 300 pounds and just throw up that heavy weight. They really don't know the toning. They don't really know the specifics of endurance training. Is that all stuff that you focus on?
For sure. Me specifically, but as well as the gym, what we always focus on in the beginning is always about form. It's always about technique. There's no point in doing an intense workout or going super heavy in a movement if you don't know how to move properly. Not only are you increasing the potential for injury, but you're also potential for maybe plateauing and not actually seeing progress. The body is not meant to be pushed, 80 to 100% all the time. And often in fitness, whether it's Globo gyms or even in smaller gyms, if we get focused too much on, don't get me wrong, hard work is an important piece. And without hard work, no one's going to succeed. But
right.
If we're always going balls to the wall, your body can't recover fast enough. And therefore your performance goes downhill. So again, reaching plateaus, not getting where you need to be. So it's all about writing programming to the point where recovery is worked into there. Either lightening the loads or changing the rep ranges or taking a day off so that you can come back stronger the next day.
Now, what would you say, like my son's going to be 9 years old Christmas time. He's involved. He's a football, basketball, baseball player, and I'm a former football coach, and obviously, I played in college, so I've been around the weight piece, the conditioning piece my whole life. And one of the questions I've always asked is, what's too young? What's at age where my son says, "Hey, Dad, I want to start, pushing some weights." Is it dumbbells? Is it bands? And would you recommend a certain age for kids before they really get into the weight training?
I don't necessarily think there's a specific age, but I would say that in the beginning, you want to be focusing primarily on body weight movements and proper movement and not necessarily getting them focused on heavy lifting or competing with other people with how much they're lifting. So at like 9 years old, I would put it more on again, having them do push-ups, having them do maybe even a banded pull-up or something like that, working on proper squat form or overhead squats with a PVC or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Starting small, like anybody, it's teach that technique first, and then maybe if they are getting stronger and moving properly, then we can start to add in some light weights. But if oftentimes, especially in the past, I think most people are a little smarter nowadays, but in the past, just, okay, well, let's get into weightlifting, throw some heavy weight on. Now you're going to get hurt. But just even with an older client, it's the same idea. You have to start small and make sure the basics are there, the fundamentals are down, and then you can slowly add in weight. It definitely shouldn't be about how much can you lift.
Yeah, and I think that's a very good point, because I think nowadays, these kids just walk into a gym and they grab the heaviest weight. There's injuries now. You start to see more and more injuries. But, we were talking about the COVID piece, and I just want to go back, Bob, to a few things. And one of the things, obviously, we're doing this show tonight on social media, and I've talked about social media with all the business owners that have been on this show, because years ago, to advertise or do anything, you had to put an ad in the paper. And nowadays, hardly anybody reads the newspaper anymore, right? I think my mom and dad still get the Rome Sentinel, every day, but we don't get it. But, now with Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and LinkedIn, advertising now is so much different to businesses. Are you on different platforms? Have you seen a big impact from it?
We started off on Facebook originally, and we've expanded to Instagram. Those are basically the main ones that we stay on. And I definitely think Instagram has definitely helped a little bit with it, but in general, like I said, most of our clients, I really think it's through word of mouth. I think with Instagram, it's more about building a brand and benefiting the clients or followers that you already have, giving them information or feedback that maybe can educate them more or keep them working towards their goals.
Sure. I agree 100% with that. So why don't we start? Take us through our listeners tonight and our viewers, and just want to bring over a comment here. Pat, my buddy Pat says, great show, Rock. Good luck, Robert. Thanks, Pat, for tuning in. As always, I appreciate it. But take our listeners and viewers through, the different types of classes you have, and what's offered.
Okay. Basically, the classes that we offer, we have two different ones, really. The first one, our biggest focus, is what we call our Primal Performance. It's basically a functional fitness class, and you're going to be working on everything from mobility to conditioning to strength, skill work, and that's just going to change on the daily. So they're typically, like I said, typically get a little warm up in, do some mobility, and then, like I said, strength, skill, and then they get into a workout, or what we consider a metcon. So it's basically metabolic conditioning. So with the workouts are either based around aerobic or anaerobic conditioning, anywhere from probably 7 to 40 minutes long. The 40-minuters don't happen very often. Most of the majority of the work is in that like 15 to 20-minute range, and everything beforehand is really just kind of prepping and getting ready for that workout.
So if you have somebody new that walks into the gym and says, hey, I want to get started, how do I get started? Do you have certain days where certain classes are offered? And, I know you mentioned you have a free class. Is that kind of where you evaluate somebody that comes in to see what type of class they should start with?
Yeah. So, I mean, if they go on to the Garage Gym Oneida .com website, we have a link they can click on to do a free trial, and they can just come into one of them and basically jump right in. We always prefer doing an assessment with clients beforehand. That is an extra charge because it would be a one-on-one, session. And that's always a better way to go, because it'll give our coaches a much better understanding of where the client is. And then we can give them better suggestions throughout classes or other workouts. But for somebody who's just getting started and just wants to try the class, they just come in, they just join in. Our coaches will kind of lead them along through the workout, just like we do everybody else. Might give them a little extra attention just because they're new to it, and we have to make sure that not only do they know what they're doing, but that we're not going to hurt them in the process or scare them away. So yeah, for the most part, they can come in, give it a try, see if they like it, and if they're interested, then we ask them to sign on.
So we got another comment. Phil says, Robert's personality is clearly part of what some people call marketing. Thanks, Phil. I appreciate that.
A lot, Phil.
I will say, man, you got it is a face for marketing, a face for TV, a face for radio.
Yeah.
Hey, but you know what? That's what they say. It's all about personality, right? It's about personality. It's about your relationships, your communication. No matter what field you're in, I always say communication goes a long ways, and that's important.
Correct.
So you're mentioning your instructors. How many instructors do you have? And maybe talk to us a little bit about your instructors.
Okay. We have 4 instructors, including myself. I have 3 other employees. Right now, our oldest instructor, who's been with us the longest out of the 3, is Brad Eisenhut. He's out of Springfield University with a background in sports science.
Okay.
Or exercise science, excuse me. So he's been with us for a while. He's done lots of private coaching. He does a couple classes himself in the morning, and he's actually currently going back to school for physical therapy. So he wanted to train for a little bit and get his foot in the door, but he kind of decided that physical therapy is really where his passion is long term. So he's going to try to do some training with us on the side, but he definitely wants to keep pursuing that. But yeah, he's been a great coach for us. People love him, super knowledgeable on all aspects of fitness. We also have Wes Slatt, who just started with us about a year ago. I actually knew Wes back in the day from Planet Fitness. He went to Cortland University, and basically, I think he said he started with phys ed as his major and decided he wanted to change that, and he got more into like marketing and business. And he's been doing that long term for, I don't know, the last 8 or 10 years, I think is what he said. And he just hit a point where he realized it just wasn't fulfilling. And he decided last year that he wanted to become a coach and get into fitness. So I interviewed him. I knew from knowing him in the past that he had a great personality, super smart, well-driven, always trying to level up and get to the next level. And so he's been a great coach for us. People love his personality. Again, he came in with a good base of knowledge, but he's always increasing his knowledge week after week, month after month. So he's become huge for us, and now he does a majority of the classes. He does several private sessions on the side. And then we have Jenna Sherwood. So she went to Brockport, same thing, background in exercise science. She was doing some training at some other gyms before she met with us. And she's also going back to school for nursing at Utica College, but she said the same thing. She loves training, so she wants to do it on the side at least, a few sessions a week. And so that's kind of where our team is at. Everybody's very passionate and they really want to help people. And they're willing to, take on clients over time, work on weekends, meeting with people, and very flexible. They're passionate about helping their clients succeed.
Now, is there which I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this, and maybe you could talk a little bit more about it, but is there a certification process for, to be an instructor, to be a coach? Is there a process that you have to do to get your certification?
I mean, there are, and there's numerous ones. So there's, you have your CrossFit level ones that some of our coaches have had before. There's ACE and NASM and ACSM, all these different ones. I have ISSA, and I even did some certs with USAW to get, some Olympic weightlifting background, get some extra knowledge there. As far as our trainers go, I definitely encourage them to always get more certs and keep educating themselves. But we're not as concerned with the certs as much as we're concerned with their willingness to learn and their motivation to be helping their clientele. That's what we care about the most, because most of our clients aren't looking to be these, elite athletes, high-end clients. We do have some, but for the most part, it's people who I just want to lose some weight. I want to get healthier. I want to feel better. I want to de-stress and de-stress after work, and it's the best part of their day. They get to get out of work, relieve some stress, and have fun. So as long as our trainers are knowledgeable enough where they're not going to hurt people and they're going to help them progress and basically let them have fun.
Yeah. And Bob, that was one of my next questions. I was going to say, as far as clientele goes, do you see a lot of athletes coming in looking for private, training, whether they're playing high school sports or looking to go into college? Or is it just, the normal everyday average people like me that come in saying, my New Year's resolution, those gyms are packed with the New Year's resolutions? But you answered my question. So I kind of want to expand off of that and say, let's just take any athletes that have come in to work out for you. What are some of the challenges that they have?
I would say one of the hardest things with athletes is they're, again, typically hard workers. They're highly motivated and they are competitive. So one of the biggest things is they want to be always challenging themselves, going heavier or faster or whatever it is. And probably the biggest thing for us is we're trying to find where there's the holes in their armor. We're trying to look for, okay, well, why are they struggling to move properly, or why aren't they as fast, or so on and so forth. So with one of my clients in the past, she was a really good athlete, but she was finding she always, what was it? I think even in batting practice, she was having a tough time moving and swinging and running. And one of the things we came across early on was super tight calves. And what we ended up doing was just spending some time on mobility in the calves. Instantly in the gym, her squats and her other movements were starting to improve. And then she started going to batting practices with her coaches. And all of a sudden she was batting better. She was swinging harder, faster, and started hitting, these huge pop flies or home runs just with something simple because she couldn't move properly with the way her calves were restricting her. But a lot of times with clients, they're just with athletes, it's like they want to go heavy, they want to go fast, they don't want to look at the mobility, or they don't want to look at that's usually what it is. It's usually a mobility piece. So they don't want to look at something so simple. They think it's got to be lifting more or doing more.
Now, let's go back to I'm going to jump around a little bit because then I want to try to see if we can get into, I really like the foundational movements you talked about on the webpage, for CrossFit, because CrossFit has just taken over the world. I hear more and more people talking about the benefits of it. I've never done the CrossFit. My sister's into the powerlifting, and she's also done the CrossFit. So I'll probably have you take us through a little bit of what CrossFit actually is. But I want to actually the business part first and say, when you were going through all this, you started at, you were up at the casino, you got over to Planet Fitness. When did you have the vision in your eyes, in the back of your mind, to say, you know what, someday I want to own a gym? When did that vision come into place?
I think actually where it may have started was, being in a gym, both in high school as well as even in college, and just think same thing. The community and the connections and relationships you're building with other athletes or other people. And even like when I was at Planet Fitness, it wasn't just 20-year-olds working out playing football. I was meeting 30, 40, 50-year-olds and people who were into anything from, say, biking to running to lifting or trying to build muscle, and just again built these connections with people.
Sure.
And it was just like, I want to be in a gym and I want to be around these people and I want to help these people. And I don't know, I thought it would be really cool to just kind of have my own facility that was what I wanted it to be, and where, everybody knew my name and who I am and what my passion was.
Now, looking back at it now, would there have been anything you would have done differently along the way?
I don't think so.
That's good, because most people, when I say that, they'll say, yeah, I probably should have went back. And, people always think that running a business is easy. You got to be there all the time. But, it's hard to find good help. And your business here, you're trying to find good trainers, right, that can build good relationships with clientele, but they're representing your gym. So that's tough in general. But that's good, because, again, a lot of people always say, yeah, I probably would have changed. But for the most part, people say, you know what? I don't think I would have did it any differently. The path isn't always that straight line, right? It's always the ups and downs, and we've definitely had those, right?
It's definitely ups and downs, especially as a gym. It's not a consistent paycheck. It's not consistent client. You might have one month where, memberships drop drastically, people leave, maybe it's due to summer or winter or whatever, because they're out doing things. And then the next month, you're super busy and you're like, where do I put these people? I don't have enough trainers or enough availability for these people. And then you have to start thinking about, do I need another trainer? Is this just short-lived? Do I put them on a waiting list? Do I contact them later? But it does. It has these ups and downs for sure.
Now, Bob, I don't know the answer to this, and I'm sure you do, but I know, of course, the Planet Fitnesses of the world and some of the bigger gyms. Are there a lot of small gyms like yourself out there here in the Mohawk Valley?
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
Is there?
Yeah, there's not a lot in the Oneida specific area. We're pretty much, as far as I'm aware, at least. Actually, no, there's a couple gyms. There's 26.2, which isn't too far from us, in Sherrill. There's what is the name of it? There's another one in Chittenango. But right in Oneida, we don't have a lot of really competition. It's pretty much just us. We don't really compete with Planet Fitness because it's a completely different
Sure.
model and mentality, really. But I mean, even in Utica, there's what is it? Mohawk Valley Wellness. There's OB Training. There's what else? What else am I missing?
So I guess there's more than what I thought. There probably was in the area.
They've popped up like crazy in the last 10 years.
So talk to us a little bit too. I wanted to go into those foundations, those movements for CrossFit, but for the listeners and viewers out there, take us through what CrossFit actually is.
The actual definition, I'm not sure. We're not actually a CrossFit gym. We are basically non-affiliated, so we don't actually reference CrossFit specifically.
Okay.
But I believe basically CrossFit's definition is constant variation in movements and different patterns across all time domains. Basically, it's balance. It's being good at everything and not one specific thing. So yes, you're going to be strong, but you're also going to be fast. You're going to have balance. You're going to have speed. You're going to have coordination. And so you're basically, there's, several parts of fitness that you're covering. So like if you're doing powerlifting, it's mostly strength and power. You're not really focusing too much on balance. You're not doing as much coordination. I mean, you might have some in there, but bodybuilding is very simplistic. You're not doing a lot of athletic movements for the most part. With CrossFit, it's or functional training. It's being good at everything.
Right.
So we have them running, biking, skiing. We have them doing anaerobic work, aerobic work. We have them sometimes working on single leg balancing. We have them doing mobility work because, again, if the mobility isn't there, something else is lacking. And if balance isn't there, something else is going to be lacking. The more things we can put together, the more athletic you're going to be overall and the better you're going to feel.
Yeah, no, and a lot of people, like I said, my sister's in the powerlifting. I know a lot of people talk CrossFit. Me, I got to get back in the routine. I always say now I'm all washed up. I'm not the athlete I was years ago. I always have the excuses, and I used to tell my players, those are excuses, guys. You can always find time. Don't become. And here I am now, years later, saying, you know what? I got the kids. I got to get home. I got this. I'm one of those players coming up with the damn excuses.
Correct. And they are excuses, but one thing that this has crossed my mind numerous times, and I actually got this from Gary V. I don't know if you follow Gary Vaynerchuk, but one of the things he brought up that I think is super important and good to understand, whether you're a coach or you're the average person, is one of the things he talked about is he said he doesn't believe in laziness. And he said laziness doesn't exist. What it is priorities. And if you think about your top values, it's not that maybe you or the average person doesn't care about being fit, but it might not be in their top values. And there's only so many things that we can focus on at one time. And so if you've got kids, a full-time job, and I don't know, something else may be going on in life that you're trying to tackle, fitness may just not be important enough at that moment in time, which is absolutely fine. If it's not important to you at that moment, then focus on the things that are. And when it becomes important, then you can commit more time to it. And I've done the same thing. Being a gym owner takes up way more time than I ever thought it was going to take up. And there's definitely been times where I have very little time to work out, and I might have to do 20-minute workouts and just do anything just to get some movement in throughout the week. And then there's other weeks where I'm not as busy and I can dedicate more time to running or lifting or whatever it is that I'm in at the time.
And, a couple other things I just wanted to ask you too, and I don't know how much you know, but, supplements nowadays are just huge. You have all these different drinks and just stuff you can put into your body. And, again, years ago, we didn't have that. I think years ago when I went to college, creatine was the big thing that, a lot of the colleges actually, when I went, supplied creatine to some of the players. What's your thoughts, takes on all the different supplements out there?
Highly overrated. So, as you said, they're extremely popular and they're advertised and marketed. And whenever we meet somebody, I think it's, again, a little less so maybe lately, or maybe I just haven't been introduced to it, but it seemed like, especially in the past when I first started coaching, the first thing people would come up to me and ask is, what supplement should I be taking?
Yep.
And it's like, okay, we can talk about that, but it's definitely not a priority. So Supplements are one of the last things we want to look at. And that's, again, by definition, they're a supplement. They are something that helps you maybe get to the next level. So again, if you're a bodybuilder, power lifter, whatever, and you're looking to get that edge on your competition, they can help you. Maybe even from a health standpoint, the same idea. It's going to give you a little edge. It's going to give you a little extra or a safety net. But the most important pieces when it comes to overall health fitness is literally training and eating real food, eating properly. So the first thing I would say if you're new to it is start with moving, start with walking, maybe some light jogging, maybe some gymnastics like push-ups and pull-ups or air squats and things like that. Just get moving, do something. The next piece to that, same thing with diet. The biggest focus that I see all the time is, again, whether it's supplements or even micronutrients. Not to say that they're unimportant, but they get overemphasized. People get so focused on, okay, well, I'm just going to eat fruits and vegetables and all of a sudden I'm going to be healthy. And it's like, well, yeah, they help for sure. But if you're not controlling for overall calories, then you can overeat. Not that it's likely, but you can overeat on healthy food. You can also undereat, which now you're not supplying your body with enough nutrients, which can also have health effects. So the biggest thing is with supplements, we really shouldn't be focusing on them until we have hit all the other pillars, from being fit to focusing on calories and quality food. And then lastly, if you have all of your ducks in a row and you're on top of every other thing, now we can focus on supplementation.
Bob, I like to ask, and just the last couple of things I wanted to bring up is I like to always ask, and I do this on my radio show on Saturday mornings when I talk to coaches and athletes, from all over. Who are some people that have helped you out along your way? Who have been those motivational people that maybe you want to give a shout out to, and maybe just share it if you can?
Yeah. Actually, probably one of the biggest inspirations. Actually, I'm going to take a step back even from my original answer. So my first one is probably my dad. My dad was one hell of an athlete in high school. He was a 11 letter varsity athlete. Always into fitness. Even now at 73 years old, he plays hockey every week, and he stays fit every day. Just always been an athlete. And that, I think, gave me motivation at an early age to want to follow through. Second, when I decided I wanted to play football and get into lifting, I was about 145 pounds. I was small. I had very little experience in contact sports. And one of my buddies, his whole family were just genetics and hard work. They were beasts. All of them had the nickname Tank. And so my buddy Jake Tazinski actually, when I decided I wanted to play football, he got me into lifting and he basically brought me under his wing and he taught me how to squat, how to bench, how to move, how to do everything. And I really thank him not only for the initial motivation, but he also prioritized form. So again, to this day, that's one of the biggest things I always prioritize, form and technique. But that was the one thing he taught me. And ever since I did that, all of my coaches and anybody I ever met always compliments me on my form and my technique. And he's the one who instilled that in me from basically day one. Then going from there, yeah, I also, my college coaches, same thing, taught me a lot. When I went to the casino, Stephanie Michaels, she gave me some, she was a Pilates and yoga instructor that worked at the casino. And she actually also kind of brought me under her wing and showed me a lot, especially on the yoga Pilates side, which I don't remember a lot of what she taught me, but back then definitely was really helpful information. She was also a runner too. So she gave me some input on running, which really helped back when I was running a lot. And then probably after that, one of the next big ones is, and probably the biggest to this day, is Josh Lewis. So the original, the founder of Garage Gym, and now his new company, Co-Movement. He's always been there for me, and he's teaching me anything from business to new fitness stuff. So he's taught me a lot with gymnastic movements and so on and so forth. It's really helped me progress in that way. helped me with marketing and other things in the past. And of course, sold me the gym.
Yeah.
So it gave me this opportunity to be where I am today.
You know, how neat is it to still hear people say the fundamentals, just the basic blocking and tackling. I use it every day in the business world here at where I'm at with my employees. Say, guys, we have to be able to execute the fundamentals, the basics. And
Yes.
that's really the same in your place.
Correct. Without the fundamentals, you're going to fall apart. And
So, Bob, last thing, I don't mean to cut you off. The last thing I wanted to ask you for the listeners and viewers out there, why should they come check out Garage Gym?
I think that you will, with the knowledge of our coaches and the passion of our coaches, you will learn and accomplish things that you never thought you could.
Hey, that's good enough for me.
That's one. Yeah. Our motto is discover your potential. And honestly, myself included, the things that I've learned since I've started working out and lifting has not only boosted my self-confidence, as well as even some of the stuff that I do today. And some of it I even take for granted because I've been able to do it for so long and so easily. But there are things that if you had asked me at 16 years old when I started working out, do you think that you will be able to do these movements at 36 years old or do these things? I probably would have laughed and been like, hell no. And so it's just these small little progressions and the little bit of knowledge that you build up over time, and it accomplishes a mountain. And so I think even some of our clients are seeing it already. The ones that have been with us for 1, 2, 3 years, seeing strength gains, improvement, fat loss. I've had numerous clients lose 50 plus pounds just by giving them proper coaching on metabolism and nutrition. And not only were they able to lose the weight, but they've been able to keep off, if not all of, most of that weight. Which in today's society is pretty impressive because most people who do lose weight through a diet typically end up gaining all of it back, if not more. So, but that's the thing, we at Garage Gym, we try to educate people to not only succeed, but also succeed long-term. That's actually a big piece. We're all about long-term improvement and success, not short-term.
So, Bob, I got the 1116 Lenox Ave in Oneida address, and I got 368-3980. Best way other than the webpage to get in touch with anybody at the gym?
Again, Garage Gym Oneida at gmail.com. The phone number you already put up there. You can go to our Facebook page, our Instagram page, which is, again, all Garage Gym Oneida. Very simple to find us through that. Yeah, or they can stop right in the gym and we can give them a quick little tour and introduce ourselves, whether it's me or one of our coaches. If somebody's there, definitely stop in.
Okay. Well, Bob, listen, I'm out of time. I appreciate you taking the time to come on tonight. I know you just got done, I think, working and you rushed home to get on here with me. So I can't thank you enough. I enjoy following you, and you're welcome on anytime, my friend. Just let me know.
Awesome. Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me.
All right, Bob. Thanks a lot. And best of luck to you. Keep up the good work.
Night, Rock.
Night. So that was Bob Galinski, the owner of Garage Gym in Oneida. Just another example of somebody that started with a vision a long time ago, worked his way to finally becoming a business owner. And I always say how you get there, the road, that path, it's always full of ups and downs and challenges all over the place. Garage Gym in Oneida, Bob Galinski. Make sure 116 Lenox Ave in Oneida, 315-368-3980. Check it out, GarageGymOneida.com as well. As I said earlier in the program, if you're just tuning in, make sure to subscribe to me on YouTube. When you hit subscribe, make sure you hit all. You'll never miss a live video. The Rockpile Weekly Leadership Lead with Passion. There'll be another episode that'll be posted on Friday, so make sure to stay tuned for that. Next week, I was saving it for my mom to come on. My mom was a hair salon owner for over 25 years, but I'm not sure my mom's going to come on. She said she doesn't want to come on. So I had saved that. I might do a coaches show next week with a panel of coaches to talk some high school sports, or I might take a week off. And the week of November 4th, I'll be talking to MMA fighter Eddie the Truck Gordon, who was a former teammate of mine from Fordham University. I'm going to talk to him. And then we have Roman Jim Catanzaro. He is the head football coach at Lake Forest College. He'll be set to join me on a future show. If you know any small business owner, a coach, an athlete, a team, you name it, anybody that has a story to tell, make sure you reach out to me or have them reach out to me on Facebook or YouTube, Twitter, any of my social media posts, and I'll be more than happy to speak to them about getting them here on the Rock Pile. So thanks again to Bob Galinski. And as I say on this show every Wednesday night, the Rock Pile is where dreams become reality. I'm out, everybody. Enjoy the night.